I hope you guys are impressed with numbers as I am, because I think numbers is really cool. Although I'm also one of those weird people who thought Excel is really cool. And until yesterday, my son didn't really think Excel was really cool. But now, you know, he's in the senior year of college, he's a math major. I can't believe he didn't have to do more stuff with Excel. And now he's going, oh. So numbers is actually very cool. Numbers, this is the stuff we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you some number spreadsheets, some templates, how you create it, to put tables, charts, adding content in there, and using it in other applications. And so this is the Apple's version of Excel, or Google's version of Sheets. It's Apple's iWork productivity. You can access it across multiple devices the same way we talked about with Pages, and then it's easy to share and collaborate. So there's some different kinds of numbers that you can do. You can do data-driven reports. So for example, let me turn this on here. So you can do, let me find my numbers, here it is. So for example, I could do a report like a digital lab report where students have data that they put in here, figure 1, 2, 3, 0 minutes, 2 minutes, all the way to 10 minutes, and then they can plot it. There's also, this is actually a template that you can actually just use that Numbers has, that you can change it however you want to, but it's a dice lab. You could make this a coin flip lab, and all of the formulas and everything are right in there, and all you'd have to do is change your data. So as I add data in here, and it changes stuff automatically. And this, I didn't create this, Apple created this, and I just am putting stuff in here. So that's one way, data-driven. It's so easy, it's really cool. Another way is I'm gonna do well-organized grade books. Now I know we don't have any real reason to have grade books, but we're gonna actually kind of make a grade book today, and if you have numbers, I'd love you to kind of follow along, because through making a grade book, there's just so many absolutely wonderful things that you can do with your grade book. Let's go to this one here. So this is a grade book, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time right here, but I'm gonna just show you some of these different things that you can do. So I can do a grade book here with my students, with my standards, with my assignments. I can plot grades. I can also have an interactive graph where I just have all the grades for Jan, or all the grades for Kevin, or all the grades for Christy, or whoever I happen to have in my class. So that's another way of doing it. And the last kind is actually making it an interactive workspace. So what do I mean by that? I mean that instead of it just being like Excel, where you just have a spreadsheet, this is an interactive workspace here, where I can put multiple things in here. So I've got a graph here of population change in America from 1810 to 1900. And so I've got the data right here. This is the population change in America, and then I just graphed that change from 1810 to 1900. But then down here, I have the population change from large urban areas from 1800 to 1900, or 1810 to 1900. So here I've got 4 cities, New York City, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and St. Louis. You put the information in there, and you've got all the dates, and then I make a graph here. This is an interactive graph, so I can take a look at it by year. So this is what the population looked like in 1810. This is what it looked like in 1850. This is what it looked like in 1880, and this is what it looked like in 1900. So even if you don't use this and have kids make this, this would be a really, really neat tool for use for a teacher in the classroom. And even one of those lab reports. You could do a coin toss, have the kids do it while you're manipulating the data as they toss the coins or roll the dice. So it's a really neat thing. The other thing I can put in here, which I did, is a map, a Google map of the 4 different cities, so we know on the map where it is, and then we can put some further questions for discussion. So it's kind of a workspace. It's not just a spreadsheet. It's also a workspace. So let me go back here to my little cheat sheet here and see what else we're talking about here. Okay, so sharing again, this is the same, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. You've got your iCloud, you've got your sending a copy. Oh, and the last thing, I forgot to tell you that with Pages, you can also share through Edmodo. So, you know how you asked me if we could do the, how did I get my template to kids? I could also put my template in Edmodo. If the Edmodo app's on there, if your kids are using Edmodo, that would be also another wonderful way to do that. Because if they're opening it on the iPad, you save it in Pages or Numbers, they can open it on their iPad in Pages and Numbers as well. So that's opening it up in another app. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. So, I don't know why that's there, and I don't know why, and we're not there, okay. So let's go ahead and I want to have you guys make one with me because if you can. Does everybody have Numbers?
No.
Yeah,
If-
I'm not getting the same,
You're not getting,
I didn't get the same like options that you guys, I don't know if I'm not to the latest.
Mine asked me if I wanted to upgrade.
Yeah, mine did too.
okay,
I said no, but then when I tapped on just the blank thing, it opened up.
you
Oh,
take,
the
so,
blank one got you to that, okay.
Or I didn't open anything, I just tapped.
So should we download Numbers?
you can download Numbers. I would love it if you guys had Numbers to do this because it's really amazing. I feel like
What?
you need to kind of play with this stuff
$10?
Yeah.
to try it. So Erin, I'm not exactly sure what
It's
happened.
on, so Tyler, do you use this
What
one?
happens when I go into it?
It's on there?
I get,
And I just wanted to look at the cart.
I
Divide.
got create
Yes.
spreadsheet, I just didn't get as many.
Allegedly.
I didn't get a lot of
Those
those
options.
Mine's
Just-
free.
Okay, but that's because these are the ones that I've created.
Oh, then you already.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
awesome.
Something
So,
else in there.
so
Don't forget.
these are the ones that I've already
Sorry,
created. So if yours opens up and you don't have all this here, that's because you didn't create them. I created all these, or saved them all. So what you do then is to create a spreadsheet, you just hit the plus sign. So now, this is where you have all your options of templates. You have your blank, you have a checklist, you have a checklist total, charting basics, you've got budgets. I love some of these. I am gonna actually work on some of these. Seeing as how I'm going to be a traveling fool this spring, I am going to get myself a travel planner and I'm gonna work on this because I'm going to Iceland, I'm going to Fairbanks, I'm going to Houston, I'm
You
going
are?
to the Grand Canyon. I am so excited. So I'm gonna use my travel planner. But you've got all these other things here. When I was running, I wish I was
Wait.
still running, I could have done a running log. But anyway, so you've got all these options here.
try that.
But what we're gonna do,
Are you in spreadsheet?
I just went to create a new spreadsheet. Create a spreadsheet. Are you getting that when you go to create a spreadsheet?
No.
Mine's still downloading.
Mine's still loading.
You're still loading.
So wait.
Oh, yeah.
Is the top one.
Got it?
Sorry. Where's the travel one?
Oh, yeah. So keep scrolling down, there's a travel planner. Yeah, go to the running
You wanna do
log.
running log?
Or the party planner.
But what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna go actually to a
Those are the
blank.
opposites.
No, so we don't get to do the
I'm gonna
fun
run to
stuff.
my
Yeah, I
party
know.
planner.
I'm
So-
gonna run to your party.
Everybody just go ahead and click on your
I'm
blank,
gonna run to the
blank
bathroom.
spreadsheet.
Sorry, Kathy, I
Blank.
clicked on, travel planner and I don't know how to get out of it.
Okay, so just hit spreadsheets at the top, hit plus, and then go to blank. That's fine. Okay, so now I've got this spreadsheet, and so I don't have to work with quite so many, cells. So if you look on the top of your row here at the very top, you'll have two blue straight lines. Does everybody see that? To do that, you just tap that and you can move over to get less columns or move it over to get more columns. Is that nice or what?
Yeah,
So
that is nice.
And can you do it with,
you can do the same thing with the the rows. So down at the bottom, you just get the rows, okay? So if we were gonna make a grade book, we might want to go ahead and have 3 rows at the top that are gonna be our header rows. So, I'm gonna click in this top A1 space, in this A1 cell, and I'm gonna take this little blue dot and I'm gonna spread it across 3 rows, just like that. So I've got 3 rows. Okay? Everybody's with me so far? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the little paintbrush, and I'm gonna actually format the cells. So I'm gonna click on that little one that says cell, and I'm gonna tell it that I want everything centered, and I want the fill color to be, well, and you've got this little wheel, but if you scroll over, you can have other choices other than the wheel.
That is cool.
So you can have these colors here. So I'm gonna pick green,
I like the wheel.
okay? And I'm gonna go back to the cell here at the top. I can make my text bold. I'm gonna have it centered. I want to change the, right here where text options, I can change my font and the color of my font. So I'm gonna change my font to be, I don't know, how about marker felt? So there we go, and now I've done, so I just formatted 3 rows and I don't know how many columns I just did, okay? So the next thing that I'm going to do is, I'm gonna start putting some labels in here.
Is it
So I wanna put the date, so to put something in your cell, you just click on the cell, double click the cell, and up comes your keyboard. So I'm just gonna type in date, and then I'm gonna put assignment, and then down below it, I'm gonna put standard. And I gotta spell it right.
This is awesome.
And then, in these gray cells, I'm gonna start putting my students' names in. So I'm just gonna make up a bunch of names.
Tyler?
I'll name my kids' names. Okay,
I remember
and,
$9.99 on mine.
alright, just put a few kids in there.
Yes, mine too, you have to get one from the cart.
Now to get,
Mine was not.
okay.
mine wasn't either.
Mine was.
Well,
mine-
ours are old.
So notice how annoying this is when I take my finger and I slide this up and my one row stays frozen, but not all of my rows stay frozen. If I click on the wrench, is it the wrench? No, it's not the wrench, sorry. Let me go back here. Let me highlight these.
No.
Format. No, that's not it either. Dang it. I always do this. It's the wrenches. Settings, not settings. It's cells, I know it's cells.
Is it the little thing at the bottom to the left of?
Oh, nope, that's not it. The bottom left of
Are you
what?
trying to make more?
No, I'm trying to make it so I can freeze my rows. Oh, here we go, I'm sorry, here it is. Okay, so I need to, I don't know if I need to select these, I think I need to select all these. I'm gonna go to my wrench, not my wrench, my paintbrush, and I'm gonna click on where it says headers. This is where I wanna freeze my rows. So see how these 3 rows, I want those to stay always, even as I scroll up through my students. So I'm gonna make my header rows 3, so I'm just gonna do the little plus sign. but we only have one column that we're gonna freeze, and so we're just gonna leave that at one column. So let me just show you what that does. So now, when I scroll up into my, chart, it keeps those rows there and those columns there so I can see what I have there. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Which is kinda cool. Alright, so I'm gonna just put in a bogus assignment here, so we'll just go ahead and put, the date is November 17th. And you can do this as well, and put an assignment, I'll just put test, and the standard, we'll just put standard 1. Alright, so now, for Jill, I can go ahead and just put in numbers. So Jill got a 95, and you notice you've got this next that goes to this way, or next that goes to that down, so you can press the down, and then John got an 80, and Will got a 65, and Bill gets a 72, and Roger got a 86. Okay, so I can do it that way, put all my grades in, click done. I can also format these cells, so if I highlight all those, and I come up here to my format again, my paintbrush, and I go to the format button, you'll see it's on automatic. I can make it a number, currency, percentage, and all this kind of stuff. I can also, and I'm gonna actually do this in the next column, so I'm gonna do this one here, and I'm gonna select all these, because this next assignment, I wanna go ahead and format this one. I want to use a slider. So, I'll show you what a slider is here before I go fix it. But a slider is, so when I get to the student here, and you're not seeing that. Come on. Alright, let me disconnect, oh, there we go. Alright, so now I have a slider, so I can change that student's number just by using a little slider, which is kind of a neat little thing. But you can set your slider settings, so if I come over here and format this, I can set my slider settings. So I go to this little eye here on the slider, and I can say the minimum value is gonna be a 0, and the maximum value is 100, but I can change the increment, so I'm gonna change the increment by 5s. So now when I do this, when I do my slider, here, now it changes it by 5s instead of by 1s.
So do you have to touch the number to get the slider?
You have to be in a cell, and then the slider should show up. Are you in a cell and the slider's showing up?
I'm in the cell.
Okay, and you have it set for slider and it's not showing up. Let's make sure, let's go to here. Format. Nope, you're not on slider. Hit slider. So then, click off of that, and now when you click there, now you get your slider. Yep. Alright? So here's another one, if I click on this, now, here's the other thing, I can select the whole column. If I click up here on this D, I select the whole column. But if I'm going to format that, I don't really wanna format the stuff in green. That's why I have to select the cells to format it. So I'm gonna go ahead and select these cells here, and I'm gonna go to the format again, and look at some other choices that I have. I've got a stepper, which I'm not exactly sure what it is, but because I haven't played with that. I have a pop-up menu, I have a checkbox. So if you just wanna have an assignment that you want you wanna be able to check the kids off that they did it, you've got a checkbox. Here's another one for younger kids, would be great, I think. You have a star rating. So you can give them 1 star, 2 stars, 4 stars. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do with your grading, if you're grading. We have grade books, I'm not really sure that this is all that applicable. However, I was thinking, because you can share these with other teachers, if you had, like reading groups or science or something like that, you could share this grade book for just that particular subject, and between the teachers, they would both have access to the students in here as well. Alright, so let's see, let me see what else that I wanted to show you on here. So we're gonna, the blank script, okay, the highlighting, the scroll, the freeze, the types of options for the data. Okay, so we can also put formulas in here. So if I wanna put up here, I wanna do an average. So I'm gonna type up average here, average. And I'm gonna say done. And so I wanna format this to make an average. So to make formula, what do you have to start with in Excel?
The sigma.
Actually, if you start typing in an equal sign, you won't be making a formula. So if I click on the equal sign right there, I can go ahead and put a formula in here. Here's my formula bar right here. I can put a formula bar, but there are so many formulas that they already have built in here. So if I click on functions, I've got the basic functions: average, sum, min, max, count. So if, and I've got those. So I'm gonna just click average for right now.
Where is
And then-
functions?
Okay, so you have to type in, hang on, let me go back.
Type in an equal sign?
Type in an equal sign, and then function should show up.
Wait, do we have to select the column of numbers that we want?
Oh,
So
I see it,
yeah,
yeah,
you have
I
to
see it.
select a cell.
It's
Where
hard
do
as
we
a.
do? how's
Okay,
that box?
Let me click that, I'll click out of there. So here I am, I'm in a cell.
Yep.
Okay, and then I just click in that cell to bring, or double click in it to bring my box, my keyboard up. I type in equals, which is right here, and then
No
my
swearing.
function shows up. Did everybody get it then?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Okay, no?
sorry.
So function shows up, I'm gonna click average.
Okay. I'm on a blank
How many
cell,
iPads
so
does it
that
take?
wouldn't let me
Well, usually you wanna have stuff to average though,
in. Right,
so.
I do. We should put stuff to-
Oh, I see, okay, so you're gonna average all, that's good, that's good, that's good. So-
will it work?
Yeah, it'll work.
So now what do
So, okay, so you're in the same place as we are. So now you've got that equal and you've got your average in there, right? Now you wanna choose the data you want to average. So I'm gonna average across this way. You might wanna average going down that way, but I'm gonna just average here, so I'm gonna choose that cell, choose this cell. I'm not gonna average in my checkbox or my star rating. I'm just gonna average those two, okay? And then I'm gonna click that green check mark. So when I click the green check mark, there's my average right there.
Oh.
Now I can also format that because you can find out, there's some places where it asks you, so let's say if I put that in number, I can tell how many decimals I want, or it'll do an auto, but you can do that. You've got scientific, you've got fraction, and so you can do all of those kinds of formatting for numbers. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Now, I don't wanna have to do that for every single kid. So what I can do is I can do a fill. See if I can get it to do it. No. Alright, come on, Phil.
Puts a yellow box around it?
Oh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, there we go. So now I got this box right around it, and there's a little thing that says fill, and then you get that yellow box around that. Then I can drag that little bottom slider, or if you're going across, you can drag it across and you slide it down, and it fills it in. Now it's gonna tell you, because I've got this, I have nothing in here, this little, sign here tells me that it can't divide by 0, so it's not gonna find anything in there, cause I don't have any data in there.
Oh, no, I got a big red arrow.
So I can delete that. Did you get it, Elise?
I think I will.
How do you get it
So then,
to drag down.
So hit,
the
see, so
scale-
hit that and get that black thing, that black off.
Yeah.
Now, let's see, you're also got, turn off your coaching tips. Okay, so click that little, click off of that so the keyboard goes away. Now, click in that cell. And click again. That black, there you go. Hit fill, and then drag that yellow.
So, okay, so then it's doing the same?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Where is,
This is double.
Where's what?
I know, I got lost again, sorry.
That's okay.
Where's Phil? So I can average one row, but I can't.
Okay,
I
so
gotta put in some more
you're doing,
stars.
okay, so which way are you
Well, I was
averaging?
doing it this way now, so I could catch up with you, so let me just put in some more.
And you don't even have to do that because if you average those,
Like an average.
I don't even know where you
right,
are.
okay. So this one's got the formula in it? Yep. Alright, so then click in that box again, whoops, click in again. And click in it again. So you get that black.
Oh,
So let's-
okay.
I think it's easier to do your stuff this way. Just put it on my bed.
And I
So
should-
very normal.
Right again, black box. There we go. See where it says fill?
Oh, that's what I was good. So,
So hit the fill, and then now drag that yellow, those lines on that bottom of the yellow
Oh, yeah.
down. Yep.
so just to.
Yep.
Those three.
Yep. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, so it's a double click and then the fill will appear.
Right,
That's all.
right.
Thank you.
Yep. So then I can also graph my, oh, I wanted to show you one more thing though. If I click, let's see, I wanted to show you my, other, let's see. I'm gonna go in a blank one, cause you don't have to do this. I just wanna show you. So if I go here to the format, and, no, I wanna put I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what I wanna do. I'm gonna hit the equal sign in here, and then my functions. So I've got my ones that I use all the time, average, sum, all those. But if I go to categories, I have no idea what most of these are. So if you're real mathematically inclined, there's engineering, there's financial, there's logical and informational, numeric, reference, statistical, text, trigonomic. There's more than I will ever use in my whole entire life. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that it will do.
Next class, we're not spending our time on trigonomic functions.
Nah, yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. But I like these. These are the most basic ones that I know how to use.
Count.
Yeah. Count tells you how many, I used to have my kids do this on Excel. It counts how many responses you have or how many entries you have.
Oh, it's not
So-
one,
No. Nope, that's not what it is. Alright. So fill formulas, we did that. So now we're going to take the data, and again, because I've got these, because I've got the stars and all that kind of stuff in, they don't graph very well. So I'm gonna make a graph, but I'm only gonna use the data that I have numbers in. So I'm gonna go ahead and just select the ones that I have numbers in. There's a couple of different ways that you can create a chart. So the first way is, you notice that I have this black line come up and I've got to create chart here. The other way I can do it is I can come up to add and right here, and I can choose a chart to make here. It's the same thing. So I'm going to choose, there's three choices. You have 2D, 3D, and interactive. For right now, let's just choose 2D. And of course, you always have to remember your data and what kind of data goes best with that kind of graph. And so I'm just gonna choose a bar graph for right now. In 2D, I have choices. So if I slide, I've got different colors of graphs. You don't have as much freedom as you do in Excel to actually change the bars, the colors that you want, because in Excel you can do that. In here you can't. You have to choose one of the colors that they already have. So there's some choices here. So choose one that you like, and then we're gonna make that graph. And so here is my graph. There it went right in. I've got Jill, I've got John, Will, Bill, Roger, and I've got their,
Oh, not their name.
I've got their names across the bottom. And then I've got my key over here that's got their standards. So I can move my key, my legend, over to the side. I can make it smaller so it's, I can change the legend so that it's a double. I can change it however I want to. Now, once I'm here, if I've got my graph chosen, I can format my graph as well. So if I want to, I've got it selected, I can hit my paintbrush, and now I've got all these chart options that I've got. I've got the category labels on. I can also, I can go to chart, I can go to chart options, and I can put a chart title if I want to. I can center it. I can also change my y-axis, my y-axis here, I can change the y-axis name, and I've got it on here, so all of a sudden it shows up with value axis. Over here, I can turn my axis down here, so now it came up with the category axis, and I can arrange it. That's moving it to front to back. Remember we did that in Keynote where you can put things in front of each other and stuff. So here I've got my category axis, I don't like that. I'm gonna double click on that, whoops, and I can change it. So I can put student names, and then on the side here, I can put grade, something like that. So here's the cool thing, is if I come up here to Will, and he retook his test, and he got 100 on it, I can change that, and boom, it knocked his grade right up to 100. It's interactive so that if you change it, just like in Excel, if you change the data here, it changes it in your graph automatically. So, we can also play, I don't know who that is.
Why don't you wanna talk to them?
It's an 818 number. I don't even know anybody with an 818. So, I don't know. I've been getting lots of calls on my cell phone lately that I don't like. Lisa.
Can I ask you a question? So I created my graph, but the key isn't labeled. Did I have to do something to make that go there?
No, I don't think so. Oh, you don't have any, yeah, you probably need to name.
I'm not quite sure. Did I have to highlight the entire thing?
No, you don't have to highlight the entire thing. I got mine
Did it
to
just
say,
pop up?
mine just has the standards. So yeah, that's really
Maybe I'll go back in. Because I added that after I did this.
Oh, maybe.
It didn't just carry over.
maybe, try, yeah, I don't know.
Can I just delete it?
Yeah, you
No matter
can.
how far
So to
away you
delete
put
it,
that was
So you
awesome.
just,
That was
That
really
was
special.
black,
That was so
and then you
great.
just cut or delete, yeah.
So here, put settings, down there.
Honey, I love you.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
so this
Go
is,
with the video section.
this is where the third graders had a loads of fun, because I had them go ahead and then, after they created their first chart, I had them go in and do other charts. So for example, you can do a 3D chart. They thought those were just really cool. And then the interactive, remember when I showed you that population one where you had the years and you could see the changes? So you can do the same thing here. So I just chose interactive here. I'm gonna choose a bar graph, and there's my interactive graph. So now I just have Jill, and then if I go here, I just have John, and Will, and Bill. I can also change the reference points for there by just clicking on that, and I can say edit references.
Wow.
And if I do that, I can change the data ranges up here. I can change the data ranges, and I think you swap. How to make a new graph, so you gotta select all your information.
Yeah.
How did I do that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Remember how I did that then? I
was
swapped, I was able to
double
swap them.
Cause that's all that mine was
Anyway.
that first one, so.
So those little interactive graphs are really fun. Oh, something I didn't show you on Pages that you can do also in here, and I should have showed you that in Pages as well, and I might go back and do that, but another thing that you can do is you can add comments. So for example, if you did a Pages or even a spreadsheet and you wanted to make comments, you could get that little black box right there, and you could say comment.
Student was being belligerent.
Yes, exactly. You could put a comment in there. We'll just put student, and I can't spell belligerent, right?
Belligerent.
Okay. So there you go. So now I've got this comment in here. If I click off, you can see a little yellow box there that tells me that I have a comment there. So if you have more than one comment on your spreadsheet, when you click on that comment, come on. Comment. So if I had more than one comment, I can scroll through my comments here, or I can delete my comment over here. So that's another feature that you've got, and we've already done that part. So I'm gonna get out real quick. I'm gonna just show you what I did for the 3rd grade. They do pumpkin math, so they measure 5 or 6 different pumpkins, they take the circumference, they do the diameter, they weigh it, and then they do the seed count. So what I did was I made a template and I emailed it to the cart. So the kids, this is not the one I want,
That's blank.
it is blank.
I see it, pumpkin graph.
Yeah, but that's got data in it, I really wanted to show you the blank one. Anyway, I had this all set up, I had pumpkin graphs on here, and I had pumpkin data on here, names, pumpkin names, circumference, height,
taking-
weight, and then seed count. I did not put the names of the pumpkins in, or any of the data. The kids put that stuff in, and then they made their own, graphs and charts. And so, it was it was unbelievable to me how long it took them to type in the names and to type in the data.
Oh, yeah.
I was really amazed that they really had a very difficult time with that. So that's why I made the template, because the first class, I went into 4 classes. The first class, they typed in everything, and they got it done, but then the second class, I got smart and put a template in there, and then they did that, and they were able to do that, and they made their graphs. So, I brought you a copy. I just find this hilarious, because we had a big discussion beforehand about making graphs and why a bar graph is the best for this data. So they did that. And so this student did, put their bar graph in there. And then we talked about why it might be a good idea to keep the seed count out of the graph. So then they went ahead and they made some graphs without the seed count and then just the seed count. But then I told him, I said, okay, go ahead and play around and make graphs. So 4 pages later, so this one is, this is the circumference and the height and the weight, and then this one's just the seed count. But then they did 3D graphs, and they just had a great old time. They had so much fun, and some of the kids even did circle graphs and things like that. I didn't print them out 4 pages each. What I did was, when they sent them to me, I was able to open up at numbers. I shrunk their graphs so I could fit everything on 1 page, and then I printed it out for them. And you don't even have to print this out. But that would just be one thing. If we did get AirPrint printers, you might not want to have them print their whole thing out, because this is 4 pages. If you got 4 pages per kid, that's a lot of pages. So, I had them shrink it to get into 1 page. So that was a lot of fun. Questions,
At least 7.
comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
So if you have, for instance, I have 2 columns with numbers, and then a column with checks and a column with stars, and then another column with numbers.
Yes.
And if I want to get the average of the 3 columns,
You
and
can
I'm not
you can actually
consecutive.
average even with the stars and stuff.
Oh, you
I just
can?
didn't, but yeah, you can. And it
Okay.
actually, it actually shows up in your data, when you do a graph, it'll actually show up in your data, like the stars, like 2 stars, it'll just be really tiny, it just, because you're on 100 scale, because you got the 2 stars, it hardly shows up, but it's there, and you can put it in there and still average it.
Okay, so you just have to, you just box all of the,
Yeah, but you know what I don't know? I don't know if it skews the data. Like, if you've got a 5-star system and you've got 2 stars, if that'll skew your average, I don't
Okay.
know.
so then, is there a way to move a column?
Yes, I think, well, that's a really good question.
So if I wanna just move the numbers over to the numbers?
You can probably just copy and paste it into the next column, huh?
Yeah,
You could copy it and paste it, yeah. I think that'd probably be
And
the,
then
we probably have to copy and paste out of it.
Click through it.
yeah. So this is something else that you can do, so you can also add, you need another column and you can also add. So what I did was I clicked on the one here where I wanted it to add, so let me get out of that. So if you click up here, like on here, I can insert, or I can hide this column, or I
Or you
can
have to
delete this
click on the
column.
letter.
You click on the letter, yeah. And if you wanna select the whole row, you click on the number, and you can do the same thing there.
I think
You
that might-
scroll down and then tap.
Can you copy it? Do you know how to, oh yeah, I mean, copy and paste it, yeah, you can do that.
Maybe it's, I need a formula.
You assume, so can you double click it and copy it?
Oh, cause you weren't in the columns and I'm like, okay.
So Kathy,
Yeah,
so if I wanted to do a graph on column 2 and column 6, you know how you can hold the control key down in Excel, it grabs different columns?
oh, I don't know any way to do that. You mean select, oh, are you talking about selecting data for your,
Selecting particular columns for data.
oh, yes, and, so you can do that. So hang on, where's my grade book? Where is the grade book that I was just doing?
So, in Excel, if you hold down command key, you highlight different.
Okay, yeah.
So, like,
Okay.
I want to highlight
So-
these names with those numbers.
So here's another thing. If you don't wanna get the check boxes and the stars in there, the other thing that you can do, so I'm gonna go ahead and average. Let me go back here and average again. I'm gonna delete this stuff in here. I'm gonna delete. Okay, so now I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna make my formula. I'm gonna click the equal sign, and I'm gonna click the functions, and I'm gonna click average. Instead of having to hold a control, all I have to do is select. So I'm gonna select column B, column C, and column, oh, I can't, because that's column that I'm doing. But then I can skip a column, I can skip one. Do you see how that happens, Sandy, there? I can select the ones that I want.
Okay.
And then here, down here below, if I decide I don't want one of those, I can delete them from there, from my formula row. So you don't have to go, you can average, you can skip over these if you don't want to put them in your average by just clicking on the ones that you want. So here's another idea. If I wanted to average, this is gonna be strange, I'm gonna average Jill's first test, Will's test, I'm gonna average Roger, and I'm gonna average Bill, and I'm gonna just hit the green check mark. Now it's just gonna average those 4 items right there.
That's a data-driven classroom.
Yes, it is. So you've got a lot of options. It's really amazing how much you can do on this little iPad in numbers. I mean, with Excel, Excel is a great program, but I think that this one's actually more user-friendly than Excel is. So, I wanted to also show you one more thing. So I can also take my chart, I can copy it, I can go back to pages, and we're gonna go back to pages,
How did you copy?
and I just,
click on it and then wait for the black to
come on, there we go. I'm gonna go into a term paper, I don't know. And I wanna put that graph that I did for my lab into my, report, so I'm gonna click, and I'm gonna get my paste sign, paste, and there's my graph, and I can move my graph wherever I want into Pages. So the other thing I wanted to show you in Pages is that you can, you can edit as a teacher. You can make comments for students, and you can also, so here's a template this is the template I was looking for. I put it in a folder, couldn't find it. Biomes of the world, put your biome name here. I've got a map of the biomes, then your name, class period, and then I put the little title down here. So this is a template for students. So, climate, I want them to type in information about the climate. If I have a spelling of a word, all I have to do is click on that word, and it gives me a chance to replace that word, and it will give me some options. The only option it has is information. I click on that, and it crossed out the other one, and put the other one in there, and then I can just go ahead and, I was playing, so this is something that I did here, deleted information, so I'm gonna, deleted information, I'm gonna accept that. Okay, so there we go, so now I did that. I told you that you could do comments, so if you put comments in here, and I wanted to come in here, come on, comment. There we go, I can put a comment in here, and here again, student, whatever, I'll just put a comment, and then there's my comment. I can also come up to this little wrench here, and I could go change tracking. So I have tracking on right now. So, let's say instead of, now I actually played around with this a little bit. So if I click on location right here, I have a comment here that says add more details on the location of the tundra, maybe a map. And down here, where it says north, I put, should this be capitalized? I know it shouldn't, but I just put it in there. So the other thing that I did was I crossed off, as a teacher, I put facts in there instead of information. So what I can do is I can, what's another word for location? Area. So did you see what I did, or place? I just started typing in there. So let me show you that again. And now it's already crossed out. I just deleted that, so that doesn't help. So we'll go areas here. We'll type that. I'm gonna change that with places. And you see what I did, because I have the track changes on in the wrench. It crossed off areas, and then it has places there. So as a teacher, I could go in and edit a student's page. But then, when the student comes back in here, the student can click on that, and says that Kate Powell added the. Do you want that? You can say accept or reject. So the student says, nope, don't want it in there, so I'm gonna just reject it. So it goes away. And then I can keep going, and let's see. Added information, do I wanna accept that or reject it? I'll accept that. So you can do that kind of editing, or you can have peer editing. So students edit each other's paper, they read through it and they make some changes, it'll cross it off. The other thing that you can do is up here on the wrench, in the change tracking, yep. So I have it with markup. You can do it so it doesn't cross it off. You can mark it up without the crossing out, okay? But let's see, there's a place to change the author name. So if you were gonna have peer editing, you could have a student come in here, change the author name on here, so that the other student would know, the students whose paper it was, would know who made the changes on there, that, and say, Oh, that was just Joey. Joey doesn't know anything about writing. I'm not gonna accept anything he did, but whatever. So that's just a couple of little things in pages that I forgot to mention about that. Okay, so I think that's it. Does anybody have questions about that? Okay, I wanna show you really quickly. Callie asked the final assignment, so don't freak out. I mean, it looks like a lot, it's not a lot, I promise. Turn this off. Okay. So, anyway, here's the assignment is really, I'd like to have you guys actually either create a pages document template or a numbers spreadsheet template that you would use. You could either do a grade book, a reading log, or something like that, or you could do a student sample for your numbers, or something that would be helpful to you. Hopefully it will be helpful to you. And so that brings me to the final assignment. And by the way, this is actually posted now on your resource page, the class resource page. So this is what you have. You're gonna do a project plan, and I've got templates for all of this. But you get to choose. Are you gonna make stuff for you as a teacher to help you be more organized in your class or whatever? Or do you want to do a student activity where you're gonna make some samples that students would do? So you're gonna just have a plan that describes how you can use your iPad to manage classroom content. So rubrics, you can make rubrics, grade books, instructional videos, reading logs, whatever, and then just an outline of apps that you're gonna use with a brief description, doesn't have to be long, a brief description of how you would use that app. Or you can create a plan that's gonna be provided for students. So if the students are using the iPads to do research or organization or presentations, you'll have to put some standards in there. So let's say you do a science thing, you wanna put some science standards in there, and then again, an outline of apps that you wanna use. Required apps, you need to have at least one iWork apps. So you need to have at least one Pages, Numbers, or Keynote, one of the three. And then one iLife, and that would be GarageBand, iMovie, and Photos, okay? So one from Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, one from GarageBand, Movie, and Photos, and then some other ones. And I'll show you the templates in just a second. But then that's the plan. The second part is to just do the content. So create some templates that you will use. So you're gonna create those, and you're gonna, so this one's for the teacher content, use of at least 3 apps, and provide links or content and upload to Edmodo, and this would be creating student samples. So for example, Bobby turned in an iMovie with 3rd grade, the life of a 3rd grader. Would you have students do that? Is that something that you would want students to do? So that would be your student sample to show the kids, this is what I want your project to look like at the end. Does that make sense? Or if you made a template for the pumpkin graphs or whatever kind of graph that you were using, you would make a template that the kids would see and say, oh yeah, okay, that's how I'm gonna do it. You'd fill it out. You would actually have the data or whatever, and so you could show that to the kids and say, this is how it is. This is how it should look. I hope that's making sense. Okay, so then, down here, let's see. So again, you have to use at least one iWork. You have to use, you have to use iMovie to do one part of your sample, and that should be really easy. An instructional video or a digital story, and then you can use content from other apps that we did, that you talked about in your other plan. So let me just show you really quickly. Okay, so this is your iPad class resource page that you can access from my website. I put it down here because I haven't put today's class assignment on there, but here's a final assignment. And then I think I've got your templates here. So yeah, so here's your templates. So if you're gonna do one for students, and why are you not opening?
Those pieces I turned in, I didn't know.
No, you don't have to do it again. So, okay, I didn't wanna do that.
Let's do it again.
And I don't know why this isn't opening. Cindy, why isn't this opening? Alright, so you
I
can.
did just open it on this one. and it-
Well, I don't know, it's not opening. So this is a template for your project plan. So you're gonna put your name, the audience, is it a teacher or a student materials? The subject grade level, the topic, and then the standards that you need, and then, your, processes, so are you gonna do, or research organization, and then the apps that you're gonna use them for. So
And
what are you gonna use
That's
this
gonna
for?
be in the resources
It is in the resources, yes.
now already?
Yes, I just put it in there
Oh, okay.
during break. And
So it'd be
then,
class 4?
no, it says final assignment, scroll down even farther.
Okay.
And so, that's, why is it not opening? I don't know.
Kathy, which one's not opening? iPad class resources?
The final, I'm going to the final assignment
Oh,
here,
final. Okay,
the
so-
final assignment, and I'm clicking on it, and then it shows me these, and then here's the project plan, if you're doing teacher materials, this one opened. So that one was the student one, this is for the teacher one, so are you gonna make a grade book, are you gonna make rubrics? What apps will you use, stuff like that. So for example, and I don't have a copy of this, oh yes I do. So one of the things that I made, thinking that it was gonna be really easy to do, and it really wasn't very easy to do, I was gonna put together a template to help you all learn how to use Pages. So let's see if I can find it. So I said, I'm gonna do a Pages tutorial, and I was gonna make it all on Pages on my iPad. And then I started going, oh my gosh, there's more to Pages than I could possibly do. So here's my tutorial I started. And so here it is, Pages of great word processing and begin. So this was something that I could do as a teacher to help students or whatever, or even help me. So, and then I made shapes and I took pictures and screenshots and all this kind of stuff, and I said, that's a lot of work, because I hadn't even gotten to very many things, and then I'm already on all that Pages, and I just said, well, maybe that's not a really good thing to do. The better thing to do would be to do what? Make an instructional video with iMovie or something like that. So, so basically, it's just so I can hope that you're gonna use some of these things in your classroom. So make a plan of how you would use it in your classroom, either as you the teacher or for your students to do it. And then include at least one Pages, numbers, keynote, or one of the three, and something from your GarageBand, iMovie, but you have to include a sample of an iMovie. You guys are all doing a sample of an iMovie, right? So it's not like, I'm hoping that you're gonna be able to use the stuff you've already turned in, just put it all in a little plan, so you can actually try to use it.
So it doesn't have to be all one big project, it can be a couple different things using a different thing?
Yeah, it could be a,
What if I use like my iMovie for one aspect of school?
you
but
can
then-
do that,
Okay,
yep, you can do
So
that.
I can make one thing for myself and one thing for the kids?
Yep,
okay.
you can do that. Another thing that I actually did with the third graders is we used Sketch, remember Sketch? We used Sketch and they made a map of Gunnison, or they found a map of Gunnison. They saved it and then they put it in Sketch, and they labeled different places in Gunnison. That was really hard to find the post office. They found the school pretty easy, and the rec center and the ice skating rink, but they had a real hard time finding the post office. But, those are just some ideas of things that you can use it for. And I have been seeing so many really unique ways of people using the iPad, so please don't think of this as like something really hard or anything like that. I want you to just think of it as something hopefully useful, that maybe you create those student samples already, so then when you go to use it in your classroom, you have those student samples. Questions, comments?
So can I go ask one quick question about
Yes.
Edmodo? That's
Yes.
something I could use to have parents go on to, since
Yes.
kindergartners can't do it, I could have them go on to my class at Edmodo?
You could,
Okay.
you could. Which brings me to something else, you just said something that I just brought something up and it just went right in one ear and out the other.
Sorry.
One thing for teachers and one for the kids.
Or
Well,
using
no,
different
Well, cause my
little-
kids can't go on to log.
Well, like I created some things that go with my geology,
It's okay.
and then I created other things that.
That's okay, that's totally okay. It's just how you would use it in your classroom, that's all. So, that's all, I just want it to be something that hopefully you could come back to and say, oh yeah, I can do this with my kids. So it doesn't have to be this one big project, it can be lots of different little projects, little things that you could do.
That we've done through this course.
Exactly. I don't want it to be a lot of extra work, I don't, that's not my goal. But I do want you to say, oh yeah, look through the list of the apps that we've looked at and say, oh, I could use this for this, or I can use this for something else. So, oh, I know what I was gonna say, Tyler, thank you, I remembered what it was. It's, next time, it's our last class, so what I'm gonna do is, we're gonna talk about iTunes U. iTunes U is actually very cool. It's a lot cooler for upper grades, but there are some things for K-12 and, for younger kids, I'm gonna show those to you. I also have, if you're interested in learning how to make your own course, it's very, very easy to make your own course. I'm gonna show you how to do that briefly and show you how to use the content that's already in iTunes U. Most of it's free. I'm gonna show you how to use iTunes U. That should probably not take us that long, maybe 45 minutes or so. And then the rest of the time, I'm gonna give you guys to work on this if you want to stay and work, and I will be here to help. Or if you wanna go and whatever, turn it in later on, that's fine too. Just a word of caution, you might think about if you have a laptop, you might wanna have a laptop, because a lot of the work you might wanna do on your laptop instead of on your iPad.
Does it have to be
But-
a Mac?
Because if you're doing the project plan, you can access, that's on a Google Doc, you can do all that stuff on your laptop, you don't have to do it here, but, just if you want to, you can. Or you can make your samples, and you can make your samples on your iPad, or you've already done them, or catch up with stuff that you haven't gotten done yet, or whatever, so.
And Kathy, when are they due?
Well, I think I have to have grades on the 10th, I can't remember the exact date, but I will email that to you as soon as I go back in my notes and look it
The
up.
assignment at Edmodo said December 6th.
Well, that was just a random thing that I put in
Okay.
because the last class is the 1st.
Right.
And so I need to actually check that out. I have an email from them and I'll let you know, and I'll send that out in an email. So you're making a note of that for me too?
Yes.
Okay, super,
I just have an email open to you, so.
super, super. Okay, anything else? Remember, anything else, you can always email me.
Well, if you can.
Stacy,
Yes.